advance a notice, but we tried to do it within 48 hours. And thank you very much for responding in such large numbers. And I take it that all the media of KZN and even national media are present here today. It is something that we appreciate. I want to just introduce some of the guests that are here with us this morning. The chairperson of the DA KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable Dean McPherson, seated out there, member of National Parliament, we serve together. Mr. Stembiso Ngama, the DA KZN Deputy Chairperson, seated next to him. And from the DA we have Honorable Tim Broadhurst, who is a Member of Parliament that serves with us in the National Council of Provinces. From the side of the IFP, we got the provincial chairperson, Honorable Tamin Tuli, who is also the mayor of the King Ketwayo District Municipality. Welcome, Mzamba. And he's accompanied by members of the Provincial Executive Committee of the IFP who can raise their hands. We've got PEC members here. Thank you, Councillor Ndokosi, Les Governor, and others. We've got some councillors here with us, Councillor Jonathan Anipan there, and Councillor Jane Naidu is here. And of course the person who's put all of this together and pays the bill on behalf of the IFP, the General Secretary of Administration, Mr. Mbango. I think all of you know him, people in the media. So welcome to you, welcome to members of the media, and thank you very, very much again. We're not going to be here for more than an hour, and I trust there's some tea and some sandwiches still left for us. Because when politicians attack tea and coffee, you know, we just finish it. We go from start to finish. I am now going to invite Mr. Dean McPherson, the KZN DA chairperson, to make, sorry. You see, we always look at guests and friends first before ourselves. That's how unselfish we are. So that came to play, you know, as soon as I said that. But on this occasion here, I'm going to allow the PEC chairperson of KZN, Honorable Tamin Tuli, to release his statement to South Africa.
Thank you, Honorable Treasurer General, Honorable Mr. Singh, and greetings to the leadership of the IFP, to Dean and the leadership of the DA, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Cooperation between opposition parties has always been a powerful tool to change the dynamic of governance at local, provincial, and even national level. In South Africa, the political environment is ripe for closer cooperation, collaboration, and coalitions. In fact, it has never been more urgent for the opposition to work together to move the balance of power away from those who have consistently abused the trust of our citizens. Service delivery and cohesiveness have been severely undermined by those in power, placing a duty upon us as opposition leaders to do whatever it takes to rescue a government. To this end, a meeting was held last month between the national leadership of the IFP, led by the Honorable Mr. Velenkosini Hlabisa, and the national leadership of the DA, led by the Honorable Mr. John Steenhuisen, and the chairperson of the Federal Council. Issues of mutual interest were discussed in depth, with the focus on harnessing the potential in KwaZulu-Natal. The IFP leads the opposition in KwaZulu-Natal, and we have met with the provincial leadership of the DA in this province on a number of occasions. In several municipalities, we are in a working arrangement with the DA. Wherever the IFP and DA are cooperating, we have a technical committee in place to resolve any challenges in service delivery. Accordingly, our cooperation has been very effective, and we see the potential to deepen it as we approach the 2024 national and provincial elections. Our national leadership has agreed to work together to lay a strong foundation for coalition government at local, provincial, and national level. We have further agreed to work with other like-minded parties where this will serve the interest of good governance. It is vital that strong opposition parties build good working relations ahead of 2024, so that we will be able to effect serious change in the next election. I shall leave it to my colleague, the Honourable Minister Dean, to indicate how this is playing out in the immediate term in an imminent by-election. Suffice to say that the IFP welcomes all cooperation that will place us in a stronger position to take wards and even councils away from those who have not been serving them well. Of course, cooperation of this kind is nothing new. Thriving democracies throughout the world have seen a dramatic shift towards a coalition government. The IFP has vast experience in this realm, and we know how to make it work for the benefit of those we serve. We thus hope to see supporters of other parties being drawn towards a powerful and a growing dynamic of cooperation, so that come 2024, KwaZulu-Natal will see a massive change towards a good governance. I thank you. I wish to hand it over to Mr. Dean.
Thank you, Tommy, and greetings to the DA leadership that is here with me, and the IFP leadership, and particularly our regards to Prince Buthelezi as well. Ladies and gentlemen, in late October 2022, the Democratic Alliance held bilateral talks with the IFP to bolster its relationship with a view to pursuing common interests within KwaZulu-Natal. The most pressing of which is to remove a corrupt and broken, power-hungry ANC in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. The DA and the IFP have a working relationship in multiple governments across South Africa, including some formal coalitions in Gauteng. With the by-election looming in Ward 99 in eThekwini, the ANC stands to benefit from a divided opposition. With this in mind, the DA has taken the decision to step back from contesting this by-election in order to allow our voters the option to remove the ANC from power in Umkomaas once and for all. This makes strategic sense, with the IFP being a bigger party in this ward. It is a view shared by the IFP that where the DA has a greater chance of victory, they too would step back to assist in removing the ANC and would be looked at on a case-by-case basis. This decision, and hopefully subsequent removal of the ANC from this ward, will have important consequences in the eThekwini municipality, which is governed by a fragile ANC coalition. And you will recall that the DA lost the mayorship of eThekwini by only 9 seats in the vote that was taken in November 2021. So this has big consequences with what is going on in the municipality at the moment. This decision, the DA believes, is taken in the best interests of our voters and of the community of Ward 99. The DA is committed to being at the center of rational politics in our country for the betterment of all who live firstly in KwaZulu-Natal and in South Africa at large. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much to both our leaders who, as they have indicated, have got respective mandates from national leadership. And we welcome, as the IFP, the announcement by the DA and the IFP to work closer together in the interest of ensuring good governance and service delivery, firstly in the province of KwaZulu-Natal and ultimately in the rest of the country. You have heard both leaders, and I'm sure you are ready to ask any questions. We will refer a little later, after you pose your questions, to issues that we are experiencing with the voters' roll and the IEC's response to the objections lodged by the IFP. And we will also refer a little later to what's called a relaunch of a water project. You know, the ruling party is very good at relaunching. They'll go and dig a hole and say we're building something. 5 years later, dig the same hole, put some water and say we're building again. 10 years later, you find nothing. So my understanding and the press alert I've received is that they're going to relaunch a water project at a cost of 10 million rand. I think the relaunch is going to cost 10 million rand. And so I think we will give you a bit of update on that and our view. And lastly, just to say that in Ward 99, which Honorable Dean McPherson has referred to, the ANC has had the ward councillor since the inception of local government. The ward councillor of the ANC unfortunately lost his life, bless his soul. He was allegedly assassinated, and I think all media are covering that in their newspaper, in their respective electronic and print media. And you know more about it than we do about who's been in court and what's happening. So it's now over to members of the media, and I think, why didn't I introduce the main person here, our head of communications?
I thought that was right.
You thought that was great. You know, we meet each other so often that we take each other as part of each other. So our head of communications, Honorable Liesel van der Merwe, will now take over and ask you for your questions.
Good morning, colleagues. Okay, now is the time for opening the floor for any questions. SABC first. Any other hands, or should we take one by one? Let's start with the SABC.
The first question goes to Markson. If you're saying that the DA was a step back in contesting by election, does it mean that you would be out there campaigning, but campaigning for the IFP to win the ward and encouraging your supporters to vote for the IFP? Secondly, to provincial chapters of the IFP, there is a coalition, there is a working relationship that they have with the EFF and some municipalities where we know that the EFF sometimes they will hold a deputy in their position. Where is that relationship still intact? I think that there is some discussions between the ANC and the EFF to muscle those municipalities away from the IFP. Are you comfortable as IFP that should you shift away that if the DA supports you, will be able to retain control of those municipalities?
Well, thank you for the question. So as of today, the DA structures within Ward 99 will be hitting the ground under the leadership of Honourable Tim Browter-Seth, who's the constituency head for that particular ward. And we'll be going out to explain to the voters why we have taken this in their best interests, to allow the IFP to contest with a hopeful, consolidated opposition support behind them. And that is our message to them, is that if enough opposition voters get together and work together, we can get the ANC out. This is obviously a new dynamic for us, and so we will take the time to explain to the electorate why we have taken this decision and how it's in their best interests. But also, I think what it shows the power of a united opposition. When we have a common enemy and a common target being the ANC, when the opposition work together in certain circumstances and under certain conditions, there is an opportunity to bring about change. And that, I think, is what's going to bring hope to voters across this municipality, that when we work together, that we can bring about change.
Thank you, in SABC. Well, the IFP EFF working arrangement in municipalities, it includes many political parties. It's not only DA. And this is a call, in fact, this move is making a call that whenever we approach by elections, we need to be strategic. When other political parties that are working with the IFP in other municipalities can also want to come on board, we will in fact welcome any move that will strengthen opposition to correct or to fix what is wrong in that Ward 99 and in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And well, in terms of the rumors, those were the rumors. IFP and all other political parties that are governing with municipalities, we don't have, in fact, issues or discussions which are taking a direction which is actually alleged. We're still working together, and I think this is a quite very important move to strengthen the opposition.
Thank you very much. Ilanga, you spoke the next, but also another question from the SABC.
All right, my name is Matt from Ilanga newspaper. Should the IFP take over 199? Have you discussed who will run in detail in terms of structuring the municipality? My name is Silvio Makanya. I work for SABC TV News. The question is going to be posed to both leaders. Coalitions, by their very nature, are very fragile, and you find that in some instances that ends up, affecting the issue of service delivery. Are you not worried that at some point, perhaps the relations may not go according to your plans, which will eventually mean the collapse of whatever arrangement that you're trying to get into? That's number one. Two, directly, Mr. McPherson, you said you are going to be galvanizing support for the IFP. I just want you to help us understand exactly what you are telling DA members or supporters to vote for the IFP in this upcoming by-election. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Sorry, can we just...
Okay, you want to take three? Let's take three questions.
Oh, you take, okay, one more, thank you.
Yeah.
In recent times, one is seen statements from the DA highly critical of the activities in some of the IFP municipalities here in KwaZulu-Natal. With this arrangement that's being announced today, how does it change the entire future? Because you tout yourself as an organization that is for good governance, clean governance, and so forth. Will that stance change? And perhaps to Mr. Nduli as well, given this arrangement and considering that the dynamic between the DA and the EFF is such that the two parties have said they can't work together because they are diametrically opposed. How would you, if you were to enter into such an arrangement, how would you navigate?
Okay, I think firstly, with respect, we cannot speak for the EFF. The EFF will speak for themselves, but all I can say, looking from the outside, and when I say outside, from a national level to what's happening in the province, and in other areas like City of Johannesburg and Kuruleni recently, there is a mutual understanding amongst parties whose interest is to ensure good governance and service delivery. And that party includes the EFF. Because we all know, and South Africans know, that the ruling party have failed South Africans. Every corner you look with, you'll find a failure. Let alone corruption, but projects that are incomplete, the internal fighting, etc., etc. And I think it is time that South Africans deserve better. And we are not saying that the ruling party can give you better. We are saying we can give you better as a collective of political parties. So that is our aim, and let the EFF answer for themselves. On the question of Ward 99 and when we win, how will it impact on eThekwini? Well, we know that in eThekwini there's a very fragile coalition with the ANC for the first time not receiving a majority, 50 plus 1. And they've had to rely on ABC in the main, Mr. Mafundla, and I think 15 or so, I don't know how many, Jonathan? 27 other parties. 27 other parties who have a single seat. Many of them have a single seat. Now, what our responsibility will be is, as the parties that are here and with those parties, we need to start talking to each other. And to say, can we now come together in ensuring that we can give the citizens of Durban better, we can serve them better. And in politics, 24 hours is a long time. So anything could happen post Ward 99. But I think it will be a very, very strong signal that we have arrived. And when we say we mean the others, except for the ruling party, have arrived. On the question of coalitions, I'll pass it on simply to the others. But you see, the fragility of coalitions, not only is it in KZN or in South Africa, but around the world. I addressed a conference 2 weeks ago in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, where there were 20 political parties from different countries, that were African countries. And we all realized that coalitions are a very, very fragile instrument. It's going to be based on goodwill, it's going to be based on understanding, it's going to be based on having some kind of a document which charters the way on how you're going to work. But being in a coalition or cooperating with another party does not mean that we have to agree on everything. Does not mean. There will be fundamental things that we may not agree on. And we must park that aside and try and find each other. But what we need to agree on is that the citizens of that municipality or that province or the country must benefit from this coming together. So it's not we have to agree on everything else.
Thank you. So, I think it's important to remember how we've got to where we are today. The national leadership of both parties met in Durban last month. We established a technical task team that now meets regularly to discuss some of the issues that we have in local governments across the province. And we've agreed in that task team to localize it even further into local structures to try and resolve it, those differences at source. So not everything ends up at our doorstep. But if we can't resolve it in the province, then we will call on our national leaders to assist us as well. And I think that what we're seeing here today is an expression of those fruitful engagements between our leaders, fruitful engagements that we've had in the technical task team. And day by day, we're finding out what we can agree on and what we can't agree on. Because Simpiwe, the DA is still an opposition party in many of those governments, and we will continue to play a role as opposition. And where we can leverage the work of the task team to resolve those problems, we will do so. But where we're unable to find each other, we will continually hold those in government accountable. So nothing will change. Our stance on clean governance is stronger than ever, actually, because we know that voters are looking to us to show that we can govern and that we can hold governments more accountable than they have ever done before. And so we will continue to do that. I think that when, hopefully, if the results come out in Ward 99, I think there's going to be some serious questions being asked of the man and his ability to actually deliver in the city. The city is falling apart, and there's only one party that's responsible for that, for the ANC. So we are saying to voters in Ward 99, let's unite and let's beat the ANC. There will only be two horses in this race. You can't bet on a horse that's not running. So you must choose which horse you want to bet on. And that is the decision for the voters to make. It's not the decision for other political parties to make. Voters must make that decision, and hopefully they make the right decision. But we don't want to talk about coalitions, because you can't talk about a penalty shootout until you've played the 90 minutes. So let's, and that's an apt analogy for the World Cup, but let's see what happens. And already some of those other smaller parties are calling us and saying, hey, we want to be a part of what you guys are doing in eThekwini. We want to be a part of what the DA and the IFP are doing. How do we come on board? So some of Kawunda's friends and Mavunda's friends are going to be ditching him very, very soon.
Okay, any further questions at this point? News from Africa?
Once again, that you can... correct.
Well, what I actually thought is important to mention is that the arrangement between the DA and IFP for Ward 99 does not prevent other political parties, other opposition parties, to contest the ward in their own. Like the EFF is contesting in that ward. But we thought, after our analysis, our numbers being brought together can overcome to actually enable us to fix what is wrong in that ward, which is Ward 99. I thought this was important to also mention that.
News from Africa, followed by News 24.
Thank you. It's Kadrendra from News from Africa. Just 3 questions from my side. The idea to form coalition parties, we saw that for the eThekwini Metro, but at the last minute, we saw the ABC and ANC join forces. What assurance does both the DA and IFP have that this is not going to happen again? Have you spoken to smaller parties? Can you tell us which ones? And do you think, seeing from the sort of disagreements between Philani Mavundla and Hlabisa Kawunda that we're currently seeing, even flesh out in the open, do you think that you can use that to get the ABC on your side? Are you sure you will? We won't see this at the last minute? If you are going to try and get into leadership, we have a major issue of political killings right now. That's why the Ward 99 Council isn't there. Are you concerned about this? And then finally, could we see on a national level, since these talks are happening, the DA and IFP even joining as one party at the 2024 election? Is that something that you guys are thinking about? Thank you.
Hi, Camille from News 24. Now, I just want to know, in terms of also just touching on the violence in Ward 99, that the IFP has said that it's experienced. Since that sort of incident, have you had any difficulties going into that ward and campaigning? You did mention that it was almost impossible to do that at one point. And just do you envisage any difficulties going forward with that violence in that area?
EW.
Okay.
Let's just do those 2 because I'm coming back to Buma after that, and then we'll come to you.
Thank you very much, Karinda, News from Africa. You see, our objective at this moment in time is to win Ward 99, is to take it away from the ANC. And that, we believe, is going to send a strong signal and send jitters down the spine of those in power that with an extra seat that is taken away from, or with a seat taken away from them, it could alter the dynamics in eThekwini. I don't think any of us have entered into any discussions with any of the parties in eThekwini at this moment in time. But it's always good to enter any discussion from a position of strength. And this is what we are doing. We are strengthening ourselves so that when we win, we can go there from a position of strength and say, now we've taken a ward. If there are more by-elections in this ward, watch this space. We're going to take more councillors away from the ANC. So it's at a starting point. It's a point of departure. Ward 99 is a point of departure for us. DA, IFP, one party, national leadership must answer that. As far as I know, being in the IFP for as many 30, 35 years or so now, member, the IFP has always maintained that our identity must be foremost. We are a party founded by Prince Buthelezi 46, 47 years ago, and we've got a brand, and that brand is him. And even if we cooperate with other parties, I can't see us merging with other parties. There will be cooperation, but not co-option. But you can ask that of our national leadership when you meet them the next time. And then violence in Ward 99, it is a matter of concern. Because when we read about the circumstances under which the last councillor was killed, it does send shivers down one's spine. When two policemen stationed at the Amkumas police station are allegedly behind the killing. They appear in court, and that doesn't augur well. And the big thing in that area, we had on one occasion, and our general has just walked out, Mdunkosi, he's heading our campaign. We had an occasion once in one of the VDs where ANC supporters threatened IFP supporters. They took a T-shirt of the Prince, put it on the ground and stamped on it. We've reported that matter to the IEC and to the police. We have a case open. We hope that that was the end of that kind of violent reaction from the ANC. So, but we are on our guard moving forward, just to make sure that we are prepared if such thing takes place. But this whole thing about tenders, not only there but throughout the country, I think is something that is really, really causing a lot of the inter-party tension, intra-party tension, and one has just got to be too careful. I mean, I don't know if you know already, but I understand that somebody from the Office of the Auditor General was actually threatened in eThekwini. And it happened before, when a group of people walked into a meeting in eThekwini and threatened whoever was there. And I believe it's happened again. So maybe that's something you can find out. I'm not going to tell you where I got the news. You all don't tell us where you all get the news from. So I won't tell you where I got it from. But that's what I believe has happened. And that person is under police guard and being, as a member of the audit committee, because somebody said, don't dare come here and look at this contract or the other contract. So that's it. So I'll stop there and pass on to my leaders.
So I think the exciting thing about Ward 99 is, as I said, what it does in eThekwini. The DA and the IFP are the second and third largest party in the municipality. We hold 4 out of the 10 executive seats in EXCO. EXCO runs the city. And smaller parties are naturally gravitating towards those that want to unite the opposition. And that's what the DA and the IFP want to do also in eThekwini, is unite the opposition. The reason why eThekwini is in the state that it is in is because the opposition has fractured. There are 27 one-man parties in eThekwini. It's unsustainable. The only person who benefits from that at the end of the day is the ANC. And so we believe that the time has come through our parties to unite the opposition, to take the 2 biggest parties in the municipality, the DA and the IFP, and take the lead on that. And I'm sure we will see in the next while, in the next months, some other discussions and some other interactions. And the great thing about WhatsApp is, party leaders are messaging and saying, hey, come on man, it's time we start talking. And even people in office bearing positions are messaging, saying, come on man, let's talk. But it must be under the right circumstances. And once the 90 minutes is ended, then we can start looking at penalty shootouts. But I'm convinced, and we are convinced, that a united front in eThekwini can push the ANC out eventually. And that has to be the plan, and that's what Ward 99 hopefully is the precursor to.
Thank you very much. Dean, we are now going to ask, where is Buma M, followed by EWN. Let me just see if there are any simply with. Okay. So we will ask Buma FM, then go to EWN.
Seems to be another one.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was only the state broadcaster that gets extra questions.
Okay, let's do this. We will go to Buma FM, EWN, and then a last round, which will be SABC and Newsroom Africa. Or are there any further hands? Are we fine with that? Okay.
It's probably Kevin from Buma FM. Just a question for both parties. What are some of the long-term measures that the parties have implemented or are still planning to implement in order to fight or tackle the unemployment rate in some of the large parts in Ward 99? And also, what is the biggest outcome that can be expected from this collaboration between the Inkatha Freedom Party and the Democratic Alliance?
My question is directed to Mr. Nduli of the IFP. Mr. Nduli, given the fact that Ward 99 is one of the hotspot areas of the previous violence between the ANC and the IFP, are you not worried about that? Are you not worried about that violence still continuing? But also, and part of it was answered in that kind of question, but also, are you sure that going back to campaign in that ward this time around, there won't be instances that we saw? We had the one that you're talking about now of the Prince T-shirt being destroyed by ANC supporters. But also, are there any talks between the IFP and the new leadership of the IFP when it comes to this so-called violence?
Okay, we'll quickly do those two questions and then go to our final two questions after that. Mr. Singh, I don't know who wants to start.
Let me just say just quickly to Buma FM, I think if you look at a municipality like such as a municipality, where the DA occupies a chair of infrastructure where electricity it is in that municipality, and you start to see the change that's taking place in that municipality, because the ANC is not in power. They can't steal, they can't mess it up, they can't hand it out to their friends, and so you're able to see that growth and that change and a better economy. And so the message really, I think, has to be to voters is that if we want to continue with low growth, high unemployment, the ANC will guarantee that. Where we can have opposition-led governments, we can change that situation. So I think that must be on the front and centre minds of voters in Ward 99.
Thank you. Well, I will take the one on the historical violence that took place in Ward 99 and the issue of the talks. In fact, Prince Mahoso has initiated talks between the IFP and the ANC so that we bury the wounds of the past. You know that were involved massively in the killings, the ANC and the IFP in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So we have initiated that. Unfortunately, we did not get a joy. We were unable to, in fact, reach with the intended, in fact, outcome of such initiatives. We are quite concerned about the issue of the violence and the killings which are taking place in KwaZulu-Natal, where councillors are assassinated together with the officials of the IFP. And we have been calling for the police to ensure that they arrest the perpetrators, especially those who are sending people to assassinate the councillors and the officials. And we believe that is the first step that we need to take to actually ensure that the police are arresting those who are the perpetrators and they are brought on book, and they get consequences for their actual conducts. And well, for what happened in Ward 99, and we thought it's the right approach as the IFP to actually report to the police and to the IEC, because there are the organs that can assist to try and correct whatever prospects which seems to be inciting any kind of development. IFP is a peaceful party, and what we started with the DA at a long time, especially here in eThekwini, if the opposition parties can regroup again to say the numbers have been strengthened, if the outcomes will be positive for the IFP, and then now we can take over eThekwini. And it's an important journey, hence I mentioned that we know that in 2024 there will be provincial and national government elections. It might be necessary that if ever there will be no party that will win outrightly, there will be a need. And already we have started a journey which we believe as the IFP is quite very important, where the oppositions are coming together so that we fix what is wrong in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. In particular here at eThekwini, we were adamant that unless the opposition can come together, it will be not easy for now to fix what is troubling the residents of eThekwini.
Well, thank you very much. What is being described as violence in Ward 99, I think is possibly taken a bit too far. What I would say, although the behavior of those people are unacceptable, it was over-enthusiastic supporters of one political party trying to dominate in that particular VD. So the violence that you referred to is violence in the late 80s, early 90s. Certainly there was violence in that area between the two parties. You know, the Internasan violence caused the deaths of thousands of people from both parties, and that's something our leadership is involved in, as Mbemba has said. We are trying to get to the bottom of that and trying to say, as Prince Buthelezi and ANC leaders, that we must bury that past. We must look at it, and we must encourage our supporters to move forward in a spirit of peace and reconciliation. So those were over-enthusiastic supporters of the ANC. That behavior is unacceptable because it goes against the grain of what the electoral laws say. So other than that, there hasn't been any tension or violence, any acts of violence between political parties per se. There could have been inter-party, tensions. With regard to what we're going to do in Ward 99, see, Ward 99 has a voting population of over 15,000. And just one ward. It's got 10 VDs. And when I took my provincial chairperson on a drive the other day, just a quick drive through the area, he said, well, this ward is half the size of some of the municipalities that we have in the province. It's a very diverse ward, diverse economic backgrounds, cultures, but there hasn't been opportunities given by the ruling party to everybody that reside in that area. There are those that have been sidelined in terms of development, in terms of job opportunities. And we would like to say, with the vision that we want to put forward for Ward 99, that charity must begin at home. As far as is possible, if there are any opportunities for jobs, it must be given to people who reside within that ward, unless we don't have the requisite skills to be able to carry out that particular task. There's a project of, I think it's 8 or 10 billion rand that's on the go by Mgeni Water in the area. And we've been told that eThekwini wants to relaunch this project on the 26th of November. Now we just see this as an election ploy. We see this as them going, the mayor and others going to the people and say, oh, we're going to give you jobs. Project has been on the go for a year or so. It stopped because of certain interventions by certain people who didn't get jobs. It just stalled, almost stalled. So we want to put together a vision for that ward that will incorporate the wishes of every single person in the 10 voting districts. which brings me, Mpamba, to the issue of ward committees. I've always criticized ward committees that get elected when the people that get elected are from one particular VD. Ward committees must have representation from every single VD voting district, because then the aspirations of those communities, whether they are a VD with 1,000 people or 3,000 people, you hear them and then you work from there. So that's something that we would like to do moving forward as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, last two questions. Corinda, are you fine?
Partly covered with regards to the 2024 elections,
Okay.
but I just want to get one last clarity from Mr. McKesson, if you allow me, sir. By the time I leave this room, I just want to be 100% sure of what you're saying. Are you saying as the DA that you are going to be telling your supporters in Ward 99 to vote for the IFP, or you are just pulling up from the list and allowing them to make the call?
Woolworths does not tell its customers to buy avocados from Pick and Pay. What we are saying, you have two horses to back. It's up to you to make that choice. I think it would be wrong for political parties to instruct people how to vote. They are free agents to vote how they wish. We just want to give the voters, which include our supporters, the best opportunity to get rid of the ANC.
Okay. Are there any further questions or no? Not at all. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming. I think it was a great media turnout. Thank you for spending this hour with us, and I want to also take the opportunity to thank the leadership of both parties led by Honourable McPherson and His Worship the Mayor of the King Fetswaya District, Councillor Thuli. Mr. Singh?
Sorry, sorry, there's one other thing that I thought we should raise should be of public knowledge, is that we have been studying the voters' role in Ward 99. And from the day we knew we were going to be contesting elections. And we found that in some instances, you will get 120 people registered at one address. Now, we've got the information here. For example, 97 Bissett Street in Amkumas is where South African police station is. I've been to that police station many times, and I know you won't even have 97 people incarcerated in there. I was thrown in there for something some time ago. But over 100 people registered at that address. We've got another address, number 2 Brad Street, where there are about 100 names that appear on the voters' roll as people registered there. And these are the kind of objections we've been lodging to the IEC. Please go and investigate where these people come from. And to top it all, it's not that they are registered at those addresses, but their voting point is outside of the voting station in that area. It's 10 kilometers away, 8 kilometers away. So something's not right. And then we've sent this in a detailed objection to the IEC. And the IEC's response to us is somewhat flippant, I would think, where they say, well, we need to give notice to those people that we are objecting to them being on the voters' roll. We do not compile the voters' roll. The voters' roll is compiled by the IEC. They put the addresses in. It's not us. Where are we going to find these 400 people and write to them within 2 or 3 days and say, listen, we are going to object to this? So we are taking this matter up further. I think it's a matter that not only impacts on Ward 99, but impacts generally on the credibility of the voters' roll and the time frame within which people or parties can object. We don't want a tick-the-box exercise, because I believe, and we've been having discussions, that this kind of manipulation, quote unquote, of voters' rolls has been existing for many, many years. And that's why in some areas you wonder, how did you lose? And then you find people being busted. And in a by-election, it happens more than any other time. So we are going to be taking this up. We've already drafted a letter which the leadership will look at now, that we're going to send to the IEC in response to them saying, we must go and investigate. But you cannot have 120 people registered in the police station address. You cannot have 100 people registered in Bradstreet. You cannot have people registered in an area that is vacant. That's what we found. And those addresses are not put there by us, it's put there by the IEC. So I just thought we should raise that as something that we are going to be taking up with the IEC as we move forward, specifically and generally. Thank you very much. Thanks, Service.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. I think we should also make that letter or that formal complaint that you've compiled available to the media. So I think we will send that. But thanks again, colleagues, for your time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the leadership of both political parties. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much.
There's some tea and coffee there.
Just one question.
I'll take it. Let the mayor stand here. And I'll let this one answer come to you. You have it. I went to it. You know the kind of Thank you.